Hi, good morning. We're reading The Mystery of History, Volume 4. We're on page 309. We are continuing.
And we're in the basement.
We are in a different location today. We're continuing with the Irish Civil War. Okay, so with all the background behind us, let's get to Ireland just before the outbreak of World War I. So the year is 1914. British Parliament had passed a bill that gave home rule to Ireland. Now, home rule did not give them complete autonomy, meaning they couldn't just do whatever they wanted, but it did give them a parliament. The southern counties in Ireland were thrilled, but the bill never took effect because World War I broke out, as well as the Easter Rising. Don't know what that is. We'll find out. According to the British, who were busy fighting the Germans, Irish freedom was going to have to wait. Well, the Irish disagreed. There were several groups of the Irish that were forming to fight for freedom, and they weren't going to wait for this war to end. They were the volunteers, called the Irish Citizen Army, also called the Sinn Féin, which translates, I guess that's in Irish, it translates to we ourselves. We ourselves and us. It's called We Ourselves. And a secret group labeled the Irish Republican Brotherhood. Now, members of the Brotherhood were called the Republicans. Their army was called the Irish Republican Army. I'm so confused right now. We've just named about...
This mystery can get confused. This history can get confusing.
This is... The Irish Republican Army is better known as the IRA. They were led by Patrick Pearse. He was a teacher and a poet. And the IRA believed that the distraction of World War I was the perfect time to declare and fight for full independence from Great Britain. So, we've got the Volunteers, the Irish Citizen Army, the Sinn Féin, and the IRA.
Fighting each other?
No, I think they're all banding together to fight for freedom. Opposing sides in the Easter Rising. So on one side we have Great Britain. On the other side we have the Volunteers, the Irish Citizen Army, the Sinn Féin, and the IRA. All fighting for freedom. So, 1916, there was an event named the Easter Rising because it started on Easter Monday. And the Republicans led rebels to revolt in the city of Dublin. Troops staked out in a bank and a bakery and the town hall and the post office in Dublin, and Dublin became a war zone. I guess they started fighting because it says in the midst of fighting, Patrick Pearse declared from the steps of the post office that Ireland was free, but it wasn't yet. The Irish didn't have the manpower to defend Dublin. And after 1 week of fighting, they were forced to surrender. We're free! Okay, we surrender. As punishment for this revolt, 15 Republican leaders were arrested by the British. Yikes! And then put to death. One of those leaders was Patrick Pearse. Now, the Irish were outraged, of course, when they learned that these leaders were put to death. And the event at Easter would stir the Irish into more action. It's a familiar theme found in history, like the fall of the Alamo to the Texans or the Eureka Rebellion to the Australians. The defeat at the Easter Rebellion gave fresh fuel to the Irish. The next year, the Irish parliamentarians, basically, I guess Grace, you can't pull on that, babe. You can go pull on the couch or bounce on the couch. They were supposed to meet in Great Britain, but instead they met in Dublin. Just like the 13 colonies of America, they declared their independence on January 21st in 1919. So, here's a picture of the Linen Hall Barracks laying in ruins in 1916 after the Easter Rising. In the aftermath of Ireland's defeat, the Irish were inspired to war for more independence. So it was clearly a lot of fighting, if that's what was left over. There's clearly some explosives going off. Now, following the same storyline as the U.S. colonies, The Irish Declaration of Independence led to a war for independence, and it would be called the Irish War of Independence.
Very to the point.
For 2 years they fought. Because of the British Special Police that were dressed in dark and khaki-colored uniforms, they were called the Black and Tans. And for their harsh, unbridled handling of the Irish people and their cruel treatment of women and children, the Black and Tans were greatly despised. So, it was the Black and Tans, the British Special Police, against the Protestants in Northern Ireland and the Catholics of Dublin. And this was from 1919 to 1921. So that's a kind of a long leap.
Of fighting.
Well, the Easter Rising was in 1916. They didn't declare independence till 1919. That was after World War One. So
Maybe they wanted to wait.
Eastern Rising was in the middle. They declared independence. Well, at the beginning they said the World War was the perfect time to declare. So we've clearly some stuff has happened. I've skipped a little bit of stuff here. Unfortunately, both sides of this war committed great atrocities and acts of terror, which increased hatred between the British and the Irish. Hoping we have both British and Irish ancestors, and Scottish, and Welsh, I guess is what they're called.
If he's the king of Wales, I'm the queen of sharks.
Hoping to bring some peace, the British Parliament passed an act in 1920, and it divided Ireland into two countries, Northern Ireland and Ireland. It's kind of weird. Why wouldn't they call it Southern Ireland? We have Ireland and also Northern Ireland. The real Ireland and these other people. This act was agreed upon by Northern Ireland, but the rest of Ireland rejected it. If you've been able to keep up, keep it straight. Ireland looked like this in 1920. In 1920, it was in the middle of the War of Independence, and it was divided into two countries with two capitals. In Northern Ireland, you had Belfast, and Dublin was the capital of the rest of Ireland. So in July of 1921, the Catholic Irish and the British signed a truce to stop the fighting because neither was winning. But by December, the British came up with another idea. They proposed the Anglo-Irish Treaty to officially end this war and create the Irish Free State. This was supposed to give Ireland the independent parliament that it wanted, but still keep it under the crown, like in Australia and in the Dominion of Canada. Dominion of Canada. I wish, Ms. Hobart says, she wishes she could write that the formation of the Irish Free State ended the conflict, but it did not. There was much division. And the Irish Free State did not include Northern Ireland. So the 6 Protestant countries still belonged to Great Britain. Is your head dizzy yet? Yes.
Yes.
Miss Hobart says hers is too. The politics of Ireland is messy, and it led to painful civil war. And it was not Protestants against Catholics, but Catholics against Catholics. Irish Catholics began to fight each other in 1922. Catholic friends and comrades turned into bitter rivals. One side wanted to reject the treaty and free Northern Ireland from Britain. The other side wanted to accept the treaty and allow Northern Ireland to stay with Great Britain. Whew, this is exhausting.
I didn't know history could be so complicated.
Why are they fighting so much?
Great Britain is trying to maintain control of Ireland, and Ireland is basically like, no. And so there's a lot of fighting. The Irish Civil War lasted 2 years, just as the Irish War of Independence lasted. So let's put some names to the leaders of both sides. On the Anglo-Irish Treaty side, there was Michael Collins until he was killed, and then William Cosgrave. Fighting against this treaty was Eamon de Valera, and he had the support of most of the IRA, so they did not want the treaty. They wanted all to be independent.
I wonder who wins in the end.
Much like the South in the American Civil War, the followers of de Valera, meaning the IRA, they set up their own government and fought to protect it. I would say this is a little bit different because they were not originally part of Great Britain.
But it wasn't originally part.
Ireland. So she said it's similar because the South set up their own government, but I would say it's a little bit different because the South was a part of the United States and broke away. Ireland is trying to say, no, we don't want to be a part of Great Britain. Tragically, it's possible that more Irish died in the Civil War than in the War of Independence. Opponents in the Civil War resorted to horrible tactics. We're not going to go through those tactics. In the end, as fierce as the IRA was, it could not defeat the Free Staters, as they were called, those who supported the treaty. These Free Staters were supported by the British and the Roman Catholic Church. As the IRA sensed defeat and became exhausted, they ordered a ceasefire in 1923. The Irish Civil War ended with much heartache in 1924. After the Civil War, De Valera channeled his energy into politics and formed a new party called Fianna Fáil, which means Soldiers of Destiny. It's the largest political party in Ireland today, and William Cosgrave would go on to lead Ireland as the first Prime Minister of the Irish Free State, which then dissolved in 1937. He later formed the Fine Gael, which means Clans of Gaels. The Fine Gael is the second largest political party. Do you want to know something ironic? I'm not sure if I can handle any more information.
I don't even know what's happening. I don't even know.
I'm so confused.
Who won?
Well, they formed the Free Staters won that were supporting the treaty with Great Britain. But now they've got two political parties going. So that's where we are. In 1932, Eamon de Valera defeated Cosgrave in an election. So from 1937 to 1948, he was the prime minister. And under Valera, Ireland pushed for more and more freedom because he was the leader of the IRA who was fighting for freedom anyway. So now he's the prime minister and he's pushing for more freedom. And complete freedom was at last obtained in 1949. De Valera served as the president of Ireland from 1959 to 1973. Before he passed away in 1975, he gave a tribute to his rival, William Cosgrave, and said that he, meaning Valera, wished that he had not opposed the treaty that led to the Civil War. Why? I hope that after all this, you can appreciate Ireland's long and difficult history. Unfortunately, the conflict isn't over. Oh, dear.
You've got to be kidding me.
With flags and currency different from Ireland's, Northern Ireland still suffers tremendous unrest today because of its attachment to Great Britain. Let's see. The Catholic nationalists who still want to take Northern Ireland back and the Protestant Unionists who still want to keep Northern Ireland under the United Kingdom are still in conflict. So there's still a side who wants Northern Ireland to be a Britain, and there's still a side who wants Northern Ireland to be Ireland. After 3 decades of conflict, from the 1960s to the 1998, it has been nicknamed the Troubles for the amount of violence that has been seen over this issue, especially in Belfast.
Well, I know one place I won't be visiting.
She says, pray for peace in Northern Ireland, that the Nationalists and the Unionists would reconcile the future of Northern Ireland with words and treaties instead of weapons and acts of terror. This is Eamon de Valera. Okay. We're going to stop there. We're on page 313. Goodbye, people.